Ivica, welcome. The whole conversation is obviously going to be in English, and as we agreed on nothing. So this is going to be one very unusual coffee on stage. When we prepared for this interview, Peter Radovic and myself, we were thinking about how to best title the name of the panel, because given everything you've done, it cannot be related to skiing. It cannot be related to just one thing. You're so eclectic. You're so rich. You're so broad. We actually thought about the world's most interesting man, to be honest, so I'm not gonna lie. So we settled on the free spirit of yours. Tell us, where's your free spirit these days and what you've been about?
Well, first of all, it's a great honor to be here. Thanks for the invitation. I'm actually passing through on my way to the Atlantic coast tomorrow. At this time, I will already be starting a sailing race in Brittany, and we'll be sailing from Brittany to Ireland and back. So yeah, a lot of things going on, especially now in June, and then in July, I'm really looking forward to some nice vacation on the Croatian coast.
How do you find time for everything in a day? I mean, you have a wife, 3 children, you're ambassador of so many things, you're so active. Do you have, I mean, who organizes your time? How is it even possible that you manage to put all of this together? You're traveling and somehow you still, I mean, you're everywhere.
Yeah, well, truth is I sometimes wish the day was longer. So, and I even have 4 children. I don't have 3 children.
Oh my God.
Which makes the day even shorter.
Yeah. Good note.
It's it's just I don't know. I was in skiing for many years, and it was on such level that I couldn't have done something else besides skiing, not on a serious level. So I only had, each year I had 3 weeks vacation, and I used it always to do something that I usually couldn't do during my ski time. And I was always, since I was a kid, I was always interested in many things. I was always on the move, and then all of this energy was pointed at skiing. And then after I quit skiing, after 30 years of racing, all of a sudden I had time to do other things. And it's like in a way, it's like an energy that has been contained for a long time. Yeah. And then there was a boom, and I say, oh, I want to race on the ocean. I want to go cross Greenland on skis. I want to go to Alaska. I just want to do things that I didn't have time to do. And now this is the phase. Well, some people even call it middle-age crisis, but it's not, I promise you. Because it's just, when you're in top sport, like skiing, you just don't have time for anything else. Yeah. It took me actually, while I was skiing, I was also studying history, and it took me 10 years to finish the studies. So just the top sport is so time-consuming that it's hard to do anything else. And now I have time.
It's fantastic. Listening to you, I relate a lot because I recently stopped playing, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in this vacuum where for a little bit of period, you're like, what am I going to do with myself? Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden the energy comes and it explodes, and you said, oh, I wish I would have stopped maybe, a year or 2 before, just because when you realize all the things that you can do with your time and the projects you can be doing and the things that you never had a chance to do while you played professional sports, it's really amazing. So let's go to obviously your biggest passion now, sailing. I mean, you're everywhere. You're dominating the oceans. You shot the documentary Transat. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience, and how was it? I mean, in emotional sense, how was it to accomplish that one goal, to sail across the Atlantic? Obviously, you had your eyes set on it for quite some time. Your sporting attitude, your mentality, your resilience obviously helped out a lot, and everything you did in your skiing career, you can obviously implement it in projects like Transat. So can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, You know, when I was still racing, I followed offshore sailing, ocean sailing. I followed a lot because to me it seemed like ocean sailing and ocean racing is really the limit of human endurance. And I think, you know, the ocean is the last really wild and free space on Earth,
Yeah.
where there are no rules except the rules of nature. And we are always trying, as we are, you know, conquering nature slowly, we're always trying to adapt it to our own needs and so on. And this is also what I noticed in my own sport, how we were always trying to adapt it to human. And we're kind of like pushing the mountain down in a way.
Yeah.
And you see like races being canceled due to weather and so on. And I never saw like, how can you cancel a race when you're in the middle of the Southern Ocean and it's blowing 60 knots and you have to keep racing?
Yeah.
And in a way, I like that because it's like a symbol of life. Whatever happens in your life, it's not gonna stop just, you know, because you think it should stop.
Yeah.
You have to go through it. Like, you know, like Winston Churchill said, when you're going through hell, keep going. And facing those challenges, to me, it seemed like almost on the limit of endurance, of possibilities. And I was always impressed by this because, you know, in those conditions, it's really hard to survive. And on top of that, you still need to be racing.
Yeah.
So I was intrigued by that. And then when I stopped skiing, I was looking a way to, you know, to get into sailing. I wanted to experience this. I wanted to go there. And I had a certain goal. I wanted to race across the ocean. And although I didn't have a lot of sailing experience, I spent a lot of time at sea in my life because my family lives in a summer home on the island of Mljet. And since we were children, I've spent there all the summers there, and it's a kind of a remote place where you can only get there by boat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pure nature. Until a few years back, we didn't have electricity there. We didn't have running water. We only had like rainwater. And so we were inside the nature and very connected to the sea. And the sea has always been like my number one love, for sure, bigger than the mountains. And then when the time opened up, I wanted to try it. I wanted to go on the ocean. I wanted to see for myself because the ocean is a scary place. And, you know, someone said, like, you should always face what you're scared of. And skiing is kind of like that,
Yeah.
because you're always on the limit, but you have to face that, and you have to push the limit. And then you come to the ocean, you're in the limit, but you have to push it. And it's even more extreme because even in skiing, you can stop and go to the hotel and have a nice dinner. While on the ocean, you cannot stop and you cannot have a nice dinner. You have to keep going. You will be wet and miserable and scared, and somehow you get accustomed to that,
Right.
to that unease and fear. And then I realized that my goal was not racing or achieving results. It was just getting comfortable in uncomfortable conditions.
Exactly. Literally what I wanted to ask you. Your whole life is basically, I mean, if I can put it like that, an athlete's life is just basically masochistic. You have to make yourself uncomfortable all the time.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking from my perspective, and my wife is here, so she can definitely attest to that. I remember the last couple of years of my career, whenever I would open my eyes, I would hear myself saying, I'm tired. I'm just tired. You know, you feel your body's hurting. Mentally, you're always pushing, and you have to give every ounce of yourself. I mean, you're well known for, pushing the boundaries. And in the end, it's a mental game, right? It's definitely a mental game before everything. So that unnerviness of becoming uncomfortable in the uncomfortable situations. I mean, it's pathological. It's really
No, it's absolutely. Like, I think it in many things, this is, I would say, it gives such a clear perspective once when you push the boundaries and you find yourself in tough situations, you come back to life and you realize that most of the situations that seem tough in your life are mostly fabricated, and they're nothing.
yeah.
Like, you know, when you come back from the ocean, or you come back from freezing your ass in Greenland, you come back to like normal life, and you realize, what am I getting angry about? This is nothing, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and then this is how you grow as a person.
Yeah.
And what is good, when you come back to normal life, when you need to make decisions, you see everything a lot clearer, you know?
Yeah.
You are not afraid.
You're not afraid.
Yeah, exactly. Because you know what fear is. Fear is this. This is not fear.
Fear is
This
sharks in
yes,
the water.
No, fear is like doing 30 knots at night in a storm on the ocean, like 1,000 kilometers away from the first person. This is fear. And when you come back anywhere, there's no fear, you know? It's like this is, and a lot of the fear is fabricated. It's made up.
Yeah.
And in life, you know, it's like in whatever you're dealing with, you should not be afraid. This is not, your limit is way, way beyond what you think
it is. Absolutely.
there is.
I
Yeah.
couldn't agree more. But listening to your life now and listening about it, you're about emotion, you're about inspiration, you're about pushing the boundaries. Everything is so mental. But bringing it back to the context of sport business and the business around you, there's a day-to-day that needs to be done. There's the organization. There's the financing of the projects. I mean, you know, none of the stuff that you're doing it all costs money. So how do you go about it? Do you spend a lot of energy, you know, acquiring resources, going to the sponsors? Because obviously you want to focus on, and that's the whole point of being an athlete, right? You have a narrow focus of being the best that we can do in your niche. And now do you have a dispersed focus with, or how's your day-to-day in a business sense when it
Yeah.
comes to your sports and activities?
That's a good point, because I went through like top-level skiing where you achieve, when your team is so big that you don't have to think about anything. You come, you put your skis on, and
Yeah.
off you go.
I know the
Well,
feeling.
there's like 10 guys working on your skis, on your training, setting up gates, buying flight tickets, and you absolutely have nothing to worry about. This
Nothing.
is great. And then I came to ocean racing with like very little funding, and you realize how much work you have to do besides sailing.
Yeah, and it's exhausting.
And it's really exhausting. And then, okay, thankful to my sponsors. ATSI, I think, is one of your supporters here.
Yeah, ATSI
He's
is one of
also one of my great supporters. This makes life easier, but I was never built nor accustomed to this business side of sports. I'm the action dude. You know?
Yes.
I'm the guy who starts when someone says action, and that's
Boom.
my part. You
Yeah.
know. But before this action, I didn't know anything about that. You know. I'm like, when I'm negotiating with somebody, I don't know how to negotiate. I don't know anything about business, how it works. I mean, a couple of years ago, I didn't know how to pay my bills.
Literally.
You know,
literally,
literally.
like I'm hearing myself talk.
You're
literally.
yeah, exactly. So
honestly.
when you're coming from a top sport, it's really like a PTSD situation. You're like lost in space,
Yeah.
and you're like 40 years old, and you have absolutely no clue what's going on, because you have always been focused just on action, and then from that part on.
Yeah.
So now there's this whole other dimension. I don't have a big team. I have to work on my boat with my friends and alone and so on, trying to patch everything up. And I'm really trying to find my way back to the part where I skip before action. You know?
Yes.
I skipped this part.
Yeah.
I'm trying to build like a small team that will work on the boat, so I can come on the race day, sit on the boat, and be confident that this boat is working and do my part. While when you're preparing for an ocean race, usually it's like a 10 days to 2 weeks inside the port before the start, and you are working for 10 days, like, I don't know, 14 hours a day,
Yeah.
and then you get to the start and you're already tired. So, and this is, I mean, this is, in the end, it's the difference between the professional sport and amateur sport.
Yeah.
Because the amateurs, they kind of have to do everything themselves.
Yeah.
But in the essence, if you're chasing results, you have to be super focused on just what you have to do. And this is why the professionals are at such high
Yeah.
level in comparison to the amateurs.
For sure. Would you say you've grown into the comfortable in being uncomfortable in business, little by little,
No.
as you?
Actually, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, I feel a little better than a couple of years ago, but it's just,
It's not your thing.
it's not me.
Yeah,
No,
it's not you.
me. Yeah.
You're the energy free spirit
I'm
guy, the
I'm
action guy.
doer, yeah,
Yeah,
kind
you're
of.
the doer.
Yeah, but you know, each of us has. It's funny how like you have your strong stuff. I mean, business on one hand is very similar to sport.
Exactly. I was about to say that was my next question. Like, what do you see the similarities, right? And especially you coming from an individual sport. I mean, you had it tough because you're by yourself. I always have teammates that I can joke around with, and there's like 20 people around me. But sometimes you're on that mountain or you're on the boat, and there's no one there. You in your mind playing tricks on you. You get lonely. You get sad. I mean, do you have? Obviously, you have your core team, your family, your father. You're supporting you, but still, I mean, it creates. It builds you up.
Yeah.
So how do you see that helping out in the business?
Well, the thing is that you have a certain confidence that you approach things. After you're in sports, you realize, like we said, that the limits are further away, and you get more confident. And in your approach to anything, if you have a goal, you are oriented towards that goal. And this is what sports teaches you, you know. And you focus, and you want to do that, and you're trying everything to do it. But for sure, in business, there's many more components to reaching the goal. So in sports, it's very like, it's kind of honest, you know.
Yeah.
You have to do this, and there is not many other options.
Yeah.
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 And in business, it's you know, dealing with humans. You have to adapt. You have to sometimes, you have to go back and forth, and you have so many different ways to achieving
Yes.
things.
Different playing field, right?
Yeah,
Different
exactly.
playing field, different rules.
So yeah, this is something that is very I mean, what is similar is this focus. You have a goal, you have to reach it, but then business seems more complicated to me, and especially because in sports you have rules,
Yeah.
you know,
Exactly.
and you know where three-point line is, and that's it. But in business, three-point line today is 2 meters, and
And
tomorrow
tomorrow
it's
is-
20 meters. So it's like, you know, this is what fluctuates, and
Yeah,
that's what it makes it a little bit more complicated.
It's complicated. It's wildly interesting to me to observe it because, to basically piggyback on what you said, I come from a sports where the metrics are as clear as day. I score 1 point from a free throw, 2 points, or 3 points, and there's no third option. There's no fourth option. While in business and life, where are we? Is the project going well? Like, I always know if I won a game or if I lost a game. And you have that intrinsic feeling, okay, I played well, but we lost. You have like a good sense of things. While in business, somebody doesn't answer an email, and all of a sudden you're like, what's
Panicking.
happening? You're panicking. You're in panic mode. People don't answer the phone calls. It's completely different. So moving on to basically your core, obviously love and your first sport. What do you think about where skiing is today when it comes to, you know, perspective, attendance, audience? I know you said a couple of times that skiing is not in its finest moment right now. But how do you see it basically? I mean, you're still obviously involved with the sport, you're skiing every day, you have contacts. How do you see the situation in skiing and it developing, I would say, in the future with everything that's going on with the attention spans, with how sports are approaching younger audiences? How do you see skiing moving forward?
You know, I'm coming from a base which is very simple in sport. First, there's like 3 levels on which you build a sport in a way that media can follow it and you get sponsors' attentions and so on. First, you need to have a challenge. You need to have the sport itself. What is it? What is the criteria of this sport? And here we're talking about top-end sport. We're like peak of the line, achieving impossible things. What is impossible in this moment? This is what we aim to achieve. On this, you build a spectacle around it. You build television. You try to present it in a way that's going to be spectacular, or it's going to bring more audiences and so more interest. And then on top of it, of course, you make money. So this is the thing. But the problem is in skiing, if we're talking about skiing, is that they don't pay attention to the sport itself.
Okay.
Some sports are lucky because they have a certain criteria that is permanent. Let's say in soccer you play 90 minutes, 2 times 45, and that's about it. You cannot play 60 minutes, for instance, you know, and this means that the level is always there, the criteria level. What happens in skiing today is that very often the criteria is fluctuating so much, and mostly it's getting down. And this is what is really dangerous for the sport, because when the level is going down, the criteria is going down, we are no longer close to the impossible line. And further away you are from impossible, the less interest
People have.
this is to the people. Because why are we looking at sports? There's like a bunch of things, but one of the most important things is that we are looking at people achieving impossible things.
Yeah.
Further away we are from this, we are then into the amateur sport. You understand? This is also like high level, but they're not like on top of the impossible line.
Yeah.
And then in the end, we do recreation, but I'm asking you, how much people is interested in recreation generally, and in amateur sport? People want to see the impossible line.
That's the magic of sports, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the further away you are from the impossible line, the less interest you're going to have. And while in soccer or some other sports, we have something that is taking care of the criteria, which must be always very, very high. In skiing, what is happening is that the criteria is disintegrating, and today we are getting far away from the impossible line. While on the other hand, with introduction of new sports, like let's say if we're talking about skiing, today we have free riding, people jumping off 100-meter cliffs and doing somersaults or whatever, and this is like, wow, you know?
By people, you mean you.
No. Yeah, no, not me. I'm not doing somersaults. That's absolutely not true. What I'm saying is that this is what is, people are attracted to this because this seems, wow, this is impossible what these guys are doing. And on the other hand, you have traditional sports, but the traditional sports, they have some kind of criteria. And in skiing, through many wrong decisions, this criteria has been lowered, and now skiing is suffering from this. What is very interesting is that today, everybody inside the Skiing Federation is very focused on the upper 2 levels of the trio that I said earlier. So it means they're interested in spectacle and money. So there's the role of media is huge. We want that and that and that, and then all of a sudden we have a problem with like, oh, it has to look good on TV.
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry, you know, it's like, this is not really true.
Yeah.
Because we cannot adapt or lose criteria on account of audience. Because what happened, it's a very good example. Zagreb has a World Cup race, a slalom. And there was an inspection on the slalom course at one point in the summertime. And the main judge of the race said, we should shorten the race. And they're like, why should we shorten the race? The organizers said, because the athletes are tired on the bottom part of the course. And my dad, who is always like this old, hardcore macho guy, he's like, please, can you pinch me? Because I think I'm dreaming.
This can be true.
And this would be the equivalent of judge in soccer whistling the end of the game at 68 minutes because, I think boys are tired.
Yeah.
We're going to stop
We're
now.
good. We're good.
This is impossible. It's absolutely impossible. But in skiing, unfortunately, this is what's
It's happening.
This is just one little problem. I don't want to get too deep into it, but what I'm saying is that you have to, in skiing, they have to watch out for sport itself.
Yes. That was my next question, and this is going to be my last question. We're going to open up to Q&A, but you kind of led me to it. Hypothetical, you become the #1 person in World Skiing Federation, and you're the decision maker. What are your first couple of steps? Do you really go back to the hard roots and the hard knocks and the quality and the essence of sport, even though the media part and the business part might potentially suffer, just to keep the essence of the sport going? Or what is your opinion on it? How would you go about it, just hypothetically? What would be your solution?
I don't think the media part would suffer. That's absolutely not true. Because, like I'm coming back, what people want to see is solving of problems, achieving impossible things. What do you have to do? You have to keep the level really high, as high as possible at this moment. And then people are going to be interested in that. And you don't have to worry about it. You just have to take care that they get the high quality standard, and then when they're watching, in a way, what's been happening last few years that the slopes in skiing are getting easy and everybody can do it, and I think this is the wrong message to people, because if they think everybody can do it, then it's not top sport anymore.
Right.
We are here when we come to the race, when we come to a boxing match. We're not there to look good. We are here to decide who is better.
Yeah.
Who is the best?
Yeah.
That's the first thing. And then we're not here because of TV. We are here to decide who's the best. And this is like, in the end, when you have to ask yourself, I understand, without TV, no sports. Great. But look, this is the product. This is what people want, and this is why we are here. And if you forget that, you can build on media, but not for a very long time. Because it's like selling a bad product.
Yeah.
You can sell it on accord of great marketing for some time.
Yes.
But when people realize that this is a bad product, it's finished. Your
done.
marketing is not going to help you.
Yeah, for sure. I could do this all day, honestly, but I don't want to, take away from your guys' chances to ask some questions. Obviously, there's going to be plenty, so feel free to open it up. Don't be shy. Christian, do we have a floating mic? Yeah, I think we do. Eva is coming your way.
Since you said that ocean was actually your biggest passion, bigger than mountains, how come you decided to go into skiing and not in sailing for like professional career?
You know that when you're a kid, it's more a parent's decision than your own. I think we can all agree on that. You can try different sports at some point and move to another sport, absolutely. But since I was a child, the only sports I really played were like skiing, hockey, and handball. And I enjoyed skiing the most. So it was also my choice. And, but, if parents had not introduced me to skiing and parents had introduced me to, I don't know, football, maybe I would become a footballer or tennis player. But like I said, it's hard to look back and say, you know, I had a say. I wanted to be a skier when I was 7 years old. Like, you don't know, like, you don't know how to put your shoes on properly when you're 7, and especially not thinking about what you want to achieve with skiing and so on, but or sports. But if it's fun, I think this is what you choose in the end. If it seems fun, this is what you choose. In skiing, you have to choose very early. That's the thing. And in all sports that involve skill, you have to choose very early. So, yeah, like I said, it's more a parent's decision in the beginning than the child's.
It,
Do you ready now, or would you like that you have become professional sailor from the start?
No, absolutely not. I think I absolutely think that skiing is the most beautiful sport in the world, and it has been the utmost privilege to be a skier.
I was about to say it turned out well in the end. It turned out pretty good.
Yeah.
It turned out pretty good. Please continue. Eva, I think Eva has a question. Oh, we have one? Okay.
Since you are always like constantly pushing forward, do you ever just stop to enjoy your life and your achievements? And was playing Poštar Lakog Zna in the middle of the ocean one of those moments?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Absolutely. You know, what I like about skiing as much as sailing is you are inside a beautiful surrounding. And you cannot be untouched by that. Absolutely. Even if your heart is made of iron, you have to be touched by the nature. And I personally, I always said, at a certain point in my career, when my health was really bad and my results were not very good anymore, the journalists kept asking why I was skiing. And I kept thinking about like a creative answer. How can I, you know, absolutely, I want to still race, I want to push the boundaries. But in the essence, I just want to be out there. I just want to be out there, you know. I love, you know, when the snow is on the pine trees, and when the fresh snow comes on that first day, when everything is glowing and shining, this is why I'm there for. And today, when if you're racing, if you're not racing, you always like stop, take a moment, you know, breathe in and look where you are. Wow, this is amazing. This place is amazing. And there are moments like this, absolutely, when you are enjoying, even if you're racing, and especially in sailing, where it's in ocean sailing, you're racing for days. You're not super focused, like you have time to look around, and you are amazed. Even storms, when you are scared, it's magnificent. You come on the top of the wave that is 10 meters high, you look around you, and it's so magnificent what is happening around you. You're like, you stop for a moment, like, wow, I'm so happy to be here. I mean, where else do you get to see shit like this, you know?
Incredible. Incredible stuff. Eva, Fallon.
I
Last
would
question.
like to say, coming back to the first question, I think we should all thank Dad Kostelic for making that choice for you.
Yes,
So that's
definitely.
good. After all you have told us here, is there any fear left to overcome?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You never really get like fearless, I think, because fear is a normal thing. It keeps you alive. And you have to have fear. You have to have it. It's normal. But the only thing is like, where does this fear start? That's the only question, you know. And when you start feeling uncomfortable, you know, in very bad situation, this is normal. It's absolutely normal. but I liked when there was a saying that the Vikings were roaming the world because they were looking for fear. You know, they couldn't find fear anywhere, so they went to
Seeking for trouble.
seeking for trouble everywhere. And I said, yeah, this kind of makes sense, you know, because you're always trying to push everything forward. And in a way, I have to say, now that I have a chance to say it, I think it's kind of, we are living in a time of sport where there is an adrenaline generation going on, absolutely. When you look how sports looks like today, people are looking to push their boundaries, really. Like the invention of GoPro is like, or you're always pushing further and further. You're trying, you know, to push that limit. And we are definitely the adrenaline generation. And this question is a question for everyone. Where is this limit? But absolutely, there will always be a limit. We get comfortable, but you know, we push forward. We go forward. And the other thing about that is a good question. Where is this edge? Because I love. There's a quote by Hunter S. Thompson. Maybe some of you will know this author. He wrote Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. And he said, there is no honest way about speaking about this limit, this edge, because the only people who know where it is are the ones who have gone over the edge. And that's the key point with all the adrenaline sports. So the edge, it's out there somewhere, but we don't really know it where it is. And the fear is there, and we are pushing towards it. And at one point, some of us have crossed this line, but they're gone.
I cannot imagine a better way to finish off this panel. We're going to finish with the questions. Ivica is going to be available also for a few minutes. On a personal note, I really want to thank you because not only for everything you did for Croatian sports and inspiring the children. On a personal note, when I was going through a very rough time in one part of my career, I read one of your interviews when you were recovering from an injury. And it was so inspirational to me, and it showed me how much you keep going, how resilient you are, and how, you know, besides all obstacles, there's always a way to push the boundaries and to push the limit and to take things even further. And that's where I drew my inspiration from you. So keep inspiring, keep pushing the limits, keep living beyond the frontiers, and I can't thank you enough for showing up. Please, a big round of applause for Ivica Kostelic. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Hvala.